California. We're so glad that you're here. So let's get things going with a little elevation and celebration. Let's go higher, let's go further, let's go deeper into God's love. Let's go higher, let's go further, let's go deeper into God's love. Let joy take hold and elevate your soul. Let love be great and give us cause to celebrate. Might sound better if you're standing up too. Let's go higher, let's go further, let's go deeper into God's love. Let's go higher, let's go further, let's go deeper into God's love. Let joy take hold and elevate your soul. Let love be great and give us cause to celebrate. Let's go higher, let's go further, let's go deeper into God's love. Let's go higher, let's go further, let's go deeper into God's love.
Hello, hello, hello. Good morning and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Yolo. My name is Reverend David Clark and I'm the senior minister here, and I just want to tell you from all of us, welcome, and we're so glad you're here. And a special welcome to our online audience, streaming to a worldwide audience today, and we are successfully doing that, and I'm just going to let that be that. Welcome online audience. And man, I'm so stoked today. It's Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. And you may be wondering, well, can I celebrate Mother's Day? As soon as you say mother, it can be a loaded word because we all have relationships of some kind with our mothers. We don't get to choose whether or not we have a mother, we just get one. And the thing about Mother's Day is you think that it's only for mothers. But I'm here to tell you that it's not. And if you have a carnation in your hand, the reason you have a carnation in your hand, the reason you have a carnation is to celebrate the whole concept of motherhood. To celebrate mothers, to celebrate mothering, to celebrate the divine feminine energy that is inside of all of us at all times. The divine feminine, I just want to touch on this for a little bit because it's important. We have two groups of qualities within us. We have a divine feminine and we have a divine masculine. And no matter if you're a male or female or what your gender is, you have these divine qualities living within you. And the divine qualities the divine feminine qualities are intuition, forgiving, collaboration, being reflective, creative, sensual, kind, gentle, center-hearted, compassionate, wise, and accepting. Those are just some of the divine feminine qualities. So if you're doing any of this at any time, you are expressing the divine feminine that is within you. And if you do any of these things for the benefit of another person, then you're mothering. You are helping to mother, and we need mothers and we need fathers. So whether or not you may say, well, I never had kids, I can't celebrate Mother's Day. Yes, you can, because you've got these qualities inside of you and you have shared them. You have shared them with another human being. There's no way that you can have all this and not share it. Same way with the divine masculine. We are always helping one another through these divine qualities. So we're celebrating motherhood, and we're celebrating the mother that lives within all of us. That divine mother that comes out when when two parties need to reconcile, or somebody needs to be forgiven, or some reflection needs to be made, or some kindness needs to be shared. We're tapping into our divine mother, to get those qualities and to share them with other people. So, we have come to our namaste time, and as we namaste and greet each other, let us greet the mother that is inside each and every one of us and acknowledge, I've got that mother feminine energy brewing around inside of me, and man, when I use it, it has miraculous effect. So let us have our namaste time and acknowledge and greet the divine feminine that is within each of us with namaste. I got so carried away talking about mothers and motherhood and the divine feminine that I did not tell you what we believe in, what we practice here at the Center for Spiritual Living Yolo. And there's 4 things that we believe. Number 1, we believe that love is all there is. Everything is made of love. Everything is a call for love, an expression of love. Love is all there is. And that is our first acknowledgement. Number 2, we believe that all thought is creative and influential. Thoughts are things. If you want proof of that, just think of a time when you're nervous about something. Something's happening, and you think about it, and your heart races, and chemicals are released, and things happen. All that happened just based on your thought. Your thoughts created a condition in your body. And just as your thoughts create a condition in your body, your thoughts create a condition in our world. They create a manifestation that we see immediately. So we pay a lot of attention to what we think and what we believe in this philosophy. Number 3, we believe that you are whole, perfect, and complete exactly as you are right now. Right now. And how can we say so emphatically that you are whole, perfect, and complete? Well, we know that we come from a whole, perfect, and complete source that could only make whole, perfect, and complete things. I'm one of those things. So I know that I am just as whole, just as perfect, and just as complete as my source. And because I know that about myself, I know that about you. So that is what we practice. We practice knowing that about ourselves, and we practice knowing it about everyone around us. Number 4, we believe in a world that works for everyone, in a world that works for everyone right now, that is ruled through love and law and divine order. And so this philosophy is our way of aligning ourselves, aligning our minds with the power and back of everything. And this is how the world works. And so this is a study of how the world works. And so we're working from that world together. So now I want to welcome our practitioner at large, Gail Jackson, who is our practitioner of the day. She is going to give us our vision and mission statements, and then I'm going to come back and read today's affirmation. So, good morning, Gail. You will hear her voice. She's coming to us from Alaska, so we will hear her voice over the PA.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'll be reading our vision and mission statement. With our mission statement, I'll be reading it once through, and then the second time around, I'd like to invite you to read it with me. Our vision statement. Here at CSL Yolo, our vision is to create an environment for all to realize the power of spiritual connection. Our mission at CSL Yolo is to provide a sanctuary for all to be lifted and inspired to embody spiritual principles and live their inherent greatness. I'd like to invite you to join me in reading our mission statement. Our mission at CSL Yolo is to provide a sanctuary for all to be lifted and inspired to embody spiritual principles and live their inherent greatness. Thank you. Recognizing
Thank you, Gail.
the one Spirit.
Yep, no, not yet. Thank you, Gail. And today's affirmation. Oh boy, I don't have it.
There it is.
There it is. Well, here it is. I'm just going to read it off the slide like everyone. Oh, there's so much to do every day, so much to do, all these little pieces of paper to keep track of. But I'll read it once, and then we can read it all together. I open my mind and heart to allow grace to flow through me, directing my steps, thoughts, and actions for greater ease and peace in my life. If that sounds good to you, then let's all say it together. I open my mind and heart to allow grace to flow through me, directing my steps, thoughts, and actions for greater ease and peace in my life. And so it is. So now I'd like to welcome our board vice president, Tracy Gerardo, to the podium right now, and she's going to give us our announcements of the day. Good morning, Tracy.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. And yes, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers inside of us all. Mindfulness and walking meditation with Jason Gerardo. Join us for an afternoon of mindfulness and meditation here in beautiful downtown Winters on Sunday, June 4th, 12:30 to 1:30. Discover how to incorporate walking meditation into your everyday routine and reap the benefits of this powerful practice. Don't miss out on this amazing opportunity to rejuvenate your mind and body while exploring the serene Buddha Creek path. We'll gather behind the community center here in Winters and embark on a 30-minute walk along the creek after, actually, reverse. We'll start with 30 minutes of discussion about mindfulness, and then we'll have our walking meditation. Best of all, this event is completely free and open to all in the community. So mark your calendars for next month coming up and join us for a transformative class that will leave you feeling refreshed and revitalized. Can't wait to see you there. And 5 Gifts for an Abundant Life with facilitator Dr. Deborah Taylor. We're beyond excited to announce that we have a date coming up. It's official-ish. June 11th. That's a Sunday, so that should be the first class coming up. Dr. Taylor is facilitating this new class to discover the 5 Gifts for an Abundant Life, created by Dr. Diane Harmony. You can give to create a consciousness of wealth. Gratitude, intention, forgiveness, tithing, and surrender. This is your guide to living the complete abundant life you were born to live. Practice these proven principles and experience growth in many areas of your life. So we look forward to seeing you there. The Gratitude Group, led by June Robinson, will be resuming June 8th. They typically meet the second Thursday of the month at the Davisville Apartments Community Room. The mission of the Gratitude Group is to uplift our lives through an ever-increasing sense of gratitude for Spirit's presence throughout our lives. In this group, we explore the very nature of gratitude and its many gifts through study, discussion, and fellowship. And finally, urgent community help is needed. The Davis Respite Center is asking for donations of new towels for their mobile showers. Additionally, donations of new men's and women's underwear, socks, and gently used clothes, blankets, sleeping bags, and shoes are also welcome.
Thank you, Tracy. As we enter into the more contemplative portion of our today's service, I invite you to join me in singing Blessing to the World. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of Spirit on earth, and who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. We are the heart, we are the hands, we are the voice of Spirit on earth, and who we are and all we do is a blessing to the world. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of Spirit on earth, and who I am and all I do is a blessing to the world, is a blessing to the world, is a blessing to the world.
Good morning. Today's sacred reading is from Jim Lewis. When we walk in awareness, when we walk in love, when we walk in light, or when we walk in faith, we also walk in grace. When we walk in grace, there's a certain effortlessness to the journey. The road is a little smoother, the waters are calmer, and the sun shines a little brighter. Magic and miracles seem to be present in our lives on a regular basis, and doors appear where we once thought there were none.
recognizing the one Spirit, the one power, the one presence, the one essence that is God. And in this moment, knowing as God is, I am. And as I am, each and every person here today is. The one presence, the one essence. The all-knowing presence. So as I speak my word on this day, knowing that our speaker is blessed, as he is open at the top, ready to receive what is given unto him. As the words flow easily and effortlessly unto fertile ground. For those of us waiting to hear the word, to be fed on this day. The substance, nourishment of the word to take us through these times. Knowing that our prayer corps is blessed, our music ministry is blessed. As our music ministry opens the heart and hearts to receive the word, knowing that each and every program, our board, they are blessed. Our children are blessed. And even the child within us all are blessed. Continue prayer for our world leaders. Those close to us and possibly even ourselves that are moving through these times with uncertainty. Anxiety, health concerns, with the appearances of dis-ease, knowing that we are connected to that divine source that is omnipresent. Each and every moment, God is. Sending words for encouragement for our minister, Reverend David, for health, encouragement, upliftment. Knowing that we are here to support one another. Sending prayers out to our two-legged, four-legged three-legged fur babes. As they give us comfort. Prayers to Mother Earth as Mother Earth supports us. Sending prayers to our leaders in different movements, our indigenous brothers and sisters. Those that are speaking up and standing up for environmental concerns. Those that are taking a stand. And those that are supporting those that are taking the stand. And we continue to uplift one another as well as our community and the world. And so right here and right now I give thanks, knowing that it is so. And join me in anchoring this prayer. And so it is.
Just let the past go. Hold on to the now. 'Cause we will never really know the where and the what and the when and the how. And we should fall into grace. Yes, we're gonna fall. Trace of any doubt, this is what faith is all about, and we should fall into grace. Forgive now with ease. Nothing's wrong anyway. Gods to displease, just a universal spirit that is calling you to say you should fall into grace. Yes, we're gonna fall into grace. There will be no trace of any doubt. This is what faith is all about, and we should fall into grace. There is a secret to falling. Just release and let go. Trusting in God is our calling. And right into grace we will flow. We should fall into grace. Yes, we're gonna fall into grace. There will be no trace of any doubt. This is what faith is all about, and we should fall into grace. Fall into grace.
want to take a moment to introduce our guest speaker today, who is Mitch Austin, and the incomparable, the wonderful Mitch Austin, who floated into our community like Mary Poppins and helped us out. He is so talented in what he does. He's an expert facilitator, and he's got a passion to help. He's got a passion to touch hearts and to help people get what's inside of them outside of them. And he's just a wonderful, special human being, and it is my great pleasure to introduce to you Mitch Austin. Mitch likes room, so I gotta make room for him.
Thank you. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I got this. Not my first rodeo. I got this. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Reverend David, for that glowing. Now I feel like I got, the bars up here. Oh no! Anybody do that, or is it just me? So happy Mother's Day. Thank you so much for that really wonderful, spirit-filled look at Mother, right? And I was just thinking about my own mother. My mother passed away about 15 years ago. And what I noticed was, and we were very close, when she left the planet, what I noticed is there was a big hole in my life. And that hole, that void, started to get filled. And I started to look at how it was getting filled, that I was having mother figures pop up everywhere. I had a work mom, I had a church mom, I had a friend who was like a mom, and all this, even strangers, when I went to return my mom's cable TV box to the cable store, I was really depressed, I was sad, she loved TV, and I'm turning it in, and the lady could tell I was upset, I was not doing well, and she's like, everything okay? And I'm like, oh, this is my mom's, and she passed away, and the lady's like, I lost my mom too. And her heart just started pouring out, So I would invite you, if you're missing your mother this Mother's Day, to look how Spirit might be filling the void for you. Because it's an energy. It's not just a person. Mother and father, those are energies. And they're always pouring forward into our experience. So I invite you to look for that. So that's my talk appetizer. On to the main course. So today I'm going to do my best impersonation of Perry Mason. Anybody remember Perry Mason? Yeah, the attorney that's in the court, and then the drama of the courtroom. And today I'm going to be talking about grace. In fact, I'm going to make a case for grace. And I know in my own life, there's been so many grace-filled moments, so many acts of grace that have brought me through things as I look back. I go, how'd that happen? Because I know it wasn't just a function of what I was consciously choosing or bringing in. I could see where this invisible hand was going out before me and preparing the way, clearing the road, bringing stuff in, creating a door where there was a wall. Yet in metaphysics, we don't talk about this enough. I kind of feel like I'm the equivalent of Jews for Jesus. I'm metaphysicians for grace. And today I'm going to make a case. And when you make a case, I learned a little bit about this as I was putting the talk together. You have to talk about the issue, like what's the issue? You have to talk about the appropriate laws. And then you have to do a little analysis and come to a conclusion. But before we jump into the issues, we need to do a little definition. What do I mean when I talk about grace? Because we use grace in so many ways. We say somebody was graceful in their response to something. We say grace at the dinner table. Sometimes we refer to grace as somebody taking the high road in a difficult situation. But the kind of grace that I'm talking about is this grace of divine love, this act active energy and force that's in all things, in all places. If we turn to Webster's dictionary's definition, grace is divine love and protection bestowed freely on people. Freely. Generously, lavishly. The Apostle Paul says, by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not our own doing. It is the gift of God. And our own Ernest Holmes says, grace is the givingness of spirit to its creation. To its creation. And so when we look at this grace that's coming to all of us, because we're all God's creation, it isn't something that we have to turn on, off, and on. It doesn't really mirror, it doesn't have to mirror what's in our consciousness. You know, many spiritual traditions, when we look at this issue of grace and metaphysics, many spiritual traditions have God's grace as a central part of their teaching. Yet in New Thought, there's little said about it. And I think I know why, and I'm going to reveal that a little later. But when we look at some of the other faith traditions, like Christianity, for instance, it's God's favor. That's what grace is. They also call it divine grace. In Islam, they call it Rahmah, which is mercifulness. In Judaism, they call it Chesed, acts of charity, kindness, and generosity. Hinduism calls it Anugrah, the blessings and guidance of gods and gurus. Buddhism calls it Kripa, the cultivation of compassion, mindfulness, and wisdom. So I went to Science of Mind, digging, going, what do we say? Well, we say in Science of Mind that grace is the inherent divinity within us, a state of consciousness that is characterized by peace, love, and compassion. And the reason I'm making this case today as a metaphysician for grace is that New Thought, we tend to focus a lot on laws like the law of cause and effect, right? That this law, we know that there's a cause behind every effect, and we go within to look at our own limiting beliefs. We go within to look at what kind of programming or deep grooves of thought are out picturing in our life. And we know in Science of Mind it is done unto us as we believe, so we hang out there a lot. And we know that this law of cause and effect is exact. There's no exceptions. So how do we explain grace in this scenario? And here's what I want to suggest, and this is what I found out in my own research, which made total sense to me, is that grace is an unreasonable event. You try to bring reason to grace, you're trying to speak Greek in a room of Italians. It's not going to translate. You're not going to see it. It's a different dimension of being that comes in to our experience. I love what Richard Rohr says. We got any Richard Rohr fans in the room? Anybody? Yeah, I love him. Franciscan priest. He says, grace cannot be understood by any ledger of merits and demerits. It cannot be held to any pattern of buying, losing, earning, achieving, or manipulating, which is where, unfortunately, most of us live our lives. Grace is quite literally for the taking. It is God eternally giving away God for nothing, except giving itself. Quite simply, to experience grace, you must stop all the counting. Stop the counting and let grace in, because it's there for us. Who's ever experienced what they would consider an act of grace in their life? Some door that opened, some wall that crumbled, some resource that tumbled into your life just in time. Some divine support you may not have even asked for, you even felt like you didn't deserve. As I was researching for this talk, I was working with a book called Making a Case for Grace by Lee Strobel. And in Lee's books, he uses a lot of people's real personal stories to demonstrate different aspects of what he's talking about. So in the book, I was listening to it, and he was telling me this powerful story about this orphan from Korea. Her name is Stephanie. Now, if you know anything about Korea, particularly back in the 50s and 60s, there was a lot of biracial children. And in Korean culture, that is the lowest of low. Many of these children were killed, abandoned, sent to orphanages. And this one story, he highlights the journey of Stephanie, a biracial child in Korea, whose mother had finally found a husband for the family. But the husband didn't approve of the biracial daughter, who was 4 years old. So she had to choose between the husband and her 4-year-old daughter. And so she took her daughter to the train station and told her that she was going to go live with her uncle and sent her on her way. And she was told, when all the people get off, you get off. And so she got off and she waited for her uncle. And she waited and she waited. And then the train station began to close down. And the conductor came over and said, "Why are you here?" And the little girl said, "I'm waiting for my uncle. He's going to pick me up." And the conductor looked at her and said, "Tuki." That's a very bad word in Korean. It's like taking the N-word and a fatherless child and putting them together. And he left her there. And that night she crawled and found a place to sleep. And little did she know she was going to be on her own for the next 3 years. Crawling through fields to feed herself, catching crickets and mice to eat. And when she got caught by the farmers, they tried to do away with her. They threw her down a well. And then a woman heard her and called for her and sent down a bucket and pulled her up and said, "You must leave. These people will hurt you. And remember that you must live," and sent her on her way. And then she went into another farm field and was caught again. And this time she was tied to a water wheel face up, going through the water wheel. And then a kind grandfatherly man untied her and said, wiped her off and said, "You must leave here. They will hurt you. And remember, you must live." And she left and went to the city. And you know what cities are looking for, right? Children that are alone. Where she was sex trafficked at 7 years old. And she ended up getting cholera. And she was so sick, finally she passed out, only to wake up later, staring into these blue eyes of a nurse from Sweden who was there to save babies, not 7-year-old children. But come to find out, this nurse found her on a trash heap, passed out, barely alive. And the nurse went to walk away because she's there to save babies. She can't save them all, but she said her legs grew heavy. And she's a very conservative religious woman, and all of a sudden she heard very clearly, "She is mine." And the nurse knew enough to go back and picked up this nearly lifeless child and brought her back to the orphanage, where she started to nurse her back to health. And then the little girl began to help the babies. She loved working with the babies. And one day this couple comes in, man and a wife, from America. Now she wasn't quite sure what America was all about, but she heard it was a good thing. So she was trying to perk the babies up because he had come to adopt a baby boy. And she watched this man pick up the babies and hold them so gently to his chest and speak kind words. She'd never seen such kindness of a man to a baby. And she was so enthralled, she just kept creeping towards him because she couldn't believe what she was seeing. She'd never seen this. And then the man put down the baby and turned to her and came towards her and ever so gently stroked her face. She didn't know what to do. She freaked out. She spit at him and ran away. She thought she really was going to be in trouble for this. The next day she heard the man came back. She thought she was going to get a beating. She didn't know she was getting adopted by a pastor who took her home to America. And even then, she thought, oh, I'm just going to be their servant. I'm going to work for them. That's why they're bringing me back here. And it wasn't until she was at a friend's house and they're like, no, you're not going to work. You're their daughter. She went, what? I'm their daughter? She couldn't believe it. And she ran back and she went to the American mom and she said in Korean, you're my mother. But she didn't understand it. But the lady in the room knew what she said, and she turned to the American mother and she said, you're my mother. And the mother cried and cried. She had finally made the connection, and it even took her another 10 years to let this gift of grace in. She didn't have to call this in with her consciousness. She didn't have to set an intention. She didn't have to know about laws. It's the power of grace that's here for us all. So what are the relevant laws? What are the laws that we need to look at to understand this phenomenon of grace? Well, I want to present to you this idea that there's a hierarchy of laws. Hierarchy, and the highest law being the law of oneness, right? That everything seen and unseen is connected. And that connection, the thread of that connection is love, unconditional love. And it pours out and it shows up as grace. Grace for every situation that we're in. And yes, there are other laws. There's laws of vibration. There's a law of perpetual transmutation. There's the law of cause and effect. But here's the thing. There has to be a hierarchy of laws so that we can be co-creators with the divine and not implode the universe. You think? That might happen, right? Because we don't know what we don't know. We are co-creators with the divine, not in replacement of. And here's the thing, you cannot use the laws to change the laws. You can't use the law of cause and effect to say, well, I don't like the law of transmutation. I don't want anything to change. Right? That's why there's a hierarchy of laws. The truth is, there's a whole tapestry of this oneness that we are inextricably woven into by this energy of grace. And this tapestry extends beyond our view, and we call that beyond the mystery. And yes, the grace is in the mystery too. We can't possibly see it all from our human perspective. And I think that's why we are like gods, but we're not God. There's only one creator. And yes, we get to come here and we can use law of mind and we can use these laws, but there are boundaries put in place, just like we limit a child's range where they can go, right? We only let them go where we know that they're going to be able to safely navigate. Well, guess what? Spirit did that to you and I too. So that we can co-create, and where there is a gap between how we're using the law consciously or unconsciously, and when there's a gap between that and our greater good, grace fills it. Grace fills it. So that we can always be in between this idea of disaster or bad or imploding the universe or annihilating God, right? Grace provides the guardrails where we get to practice law of mind, being co-creators. Because let's face it, I don't know about you, I got some limiting beliefs, right? I got some thoughts of shame. Sometimes I'm caught up in my darkness or depression. And here's the thing. The impact of those thoughts, those thinking errors, has been light because grace has been strong. I remember once, as a weird kid, don't judge me, I was looking up in the sky, and I was looking at an airplane. I thought, I wonder if the power of my mind, if I could just bring that airplane down. And yet, if I had Christ consciousness, I could have. Thankfully, I didn't, because I didn't have enough knowledge to wield Christ consciousness. See, there's a divine order built into the level of access we have to this all-giving power that's commensurate with our ability to use it wisely. And where that falls short, grace is there to catch us. I love what Eric Butterworth says on this. He says, grace explains the inadequacy of the idea of karma, right, which is the endless cycle of cause and effect. It is true, as you sow, so shall you reap. Yet God's desire to express through you and as you is so great, you never completely reap the harvest of error, right? Which is that limiting thinking or that wrong belief. And you always reap more good than you sow. You always reap more good than you sow. See, this is part of the divine design that we sometimes miss in our metaphysical teachings. So where do we find grace? You know where we find grace? We find grace at that yellow light we were pushing for really hard to get through that turned red and we had to slam on our brakes and up through comes a truck. We find grace in the job we didn't get, that if we got it, we would have hated it. We would have never gotten the job we really wanted. We find grace in that broken heart that we have where we thought we found our forever person, only to find out there was another layer of healing we need to find love everywhere we go. Grace is in all of that. Grace is in the sky, it's in the rays of the sun, it's in the raindrops falling on our head when we don't have an umbrella. There is no spot that this grace that God is not. And you know who knows this better than anyone? Stephanie, at the end of her story. The path that she had been on had led her to a deep knowing of her higher power. And she said she would not change one thing in her journey because it led her to this ability to transcend any hardship. And not only that, she now works with women going through difficult times. Imagine the grace and wisdom she can give now because of her journey. So, in every court case, you come to the conclusion, which I want to put forth, that I am in favor of grace having its rightful place in metaphysics, and that we should lean on it, we should talk about it, we should tell stories about it, we should lift it on high with all of our other spiritual practices and principles. And to remember that grace is divine favor, that it's the eternal loving kindness of God, that it's working for and through you constantly, and that you do not earn it. And you can't lose it no matter what you've done on your journey. You can't get 1 ounce more, and you can't lose 1 ounce of it, ever. So in closing, I want to share with you this little excerpt from Sal Lusato, I think that's how you say his name's book called Grace. He says, have you been changed by grace, shaped by grace, strengthened by grace, emboldened by grace, softened by grace, snatched by the nape of your neck and shaken to your senses by grace? God's grace has a drenching about it, a wildness about it. The white water riptide turn you upside down about it. Grace comes after you. It rewires you from insecure to God secure, from regret-riddled to better because of it, from afraid to die to ready to fly. Grace is the voice that calls us to change and then gives us the power to pull it off. Blessed be. Let's take this message into prayer. And so as I turn within to that solitary space within that is part of this pattern, this tapestry of love, this tapestry of God, this tapestry of good. And I know that I am always held by it, directed by it, that grace is always walking by my side and going out before me and preparing the way. And it is at the very core and essence of my being. I just know that this grace right now is holding each and every person present and online and who is hearing my voice, that grace is right beside you, whispering, directing, lifting and carrying whatever it needs to do to keep you in bounds, to keep you moving forward on your divine unfolding. It never drops you. It always loves you, and it never judges you. And so I just give thanks. I give thanks for this power of grace. I give thanks for this beautiful community called CSL Yolo, where we get to pour forward the light, the truth, the healing, the connection, the love, and of course, the grace. And so I simply rest in this word. I release it. I let it be. And together we say, and so it is.
Thank you so much, Mitch. It's wonderful. I also lost my mother about 20 years ago to ALS. And one of the things that happened to her was that she lost her voice. And so in this song, it's called All Good Now, I've tried to give my mom her voice back and hear what she might say. I'm discarding this illusion and embracing my new reality. I'm rejecting the confusion, and I'm seeing now with purest clarity. And now I'm one with all God's creatures and every living spirit in the universe. And I know you're sad to see me go, but things back there just went from bad to worse. And it's all good now. Yeah, it's all good now. And everything is good, and there's no word now like should. And you don't carry all your pain around so needlessly. And I'm sorry to be leaving you, but please know that I'm where I wanna be. And it's all good now. It's all good now. It's all good now. It's all It's all good now. It's all good now. It's all good now. It's all good now. And I'm sorry to be leaving you, but where I am, it's all good.
Just talk amongst yourselves. I get my act together up here. All right. Can we hear it one more time for Mitch Austin? Wonderful. Wonderful message. Thank you, Mitch. And one more for, yes, and one more for Billy, who I was just about to point out. Both of those songs were originals from Billy, like right from his heart. So talented. Thank you, Billy. Thank you. We are a center that observes the spiritual practice of giving and tithing, and we call it conscious, committed, and structured giving. And there are many ways to give and to expand your abundance consciousness. We give of our time through volunteering and service. We give of our talents through participation, and we give of our treasure through financial donations. Your gifts help us in our mission to provide a sanctuary for all to be lifted and inspired to embody spiritual principles and live their inherent greatness. And every month we take a portion of our tithe and we give it to a local organization that's in Yolo County that shares our views and our ideals. And this quarter, we're giving to the Winter Senior Foundation. And they exist to advocate, educate, and enhance the lives of seniors, the blessed lives of seniors. Because in the best of all worlds, we will all be seniors. If everything works out the way we want it to, we're all going to be seniors. So we are preparing a way for the seniors that are here now and the seniors that will be there, which is us. Blessed seniors. So there are many ways to give. You can text to give. If you're visiting us online, just go to our website and click on the Donate Now button, and that'll take you to a portal where you can give very easily. If you have a telephone, you can text to give to 530-322-8441. If you're on PayPal, you can donate to us through PayPal using this email address, info@CSLDavis, which is our former name, @gmail.com, or you can send a good old-fashioned check or money order to, again, our former name of CSL Davis. All right. Gotta crank the speed back a little bit. At P.O. Box 1361, Davis, California, 95617. So now that we know why we give and we know how to give, let us enter into that sacred consciousness of divine abundance. And I invite you to place your hand over your heart to symbolize that vibrational energy of circulation and say with me our affirmation. I give with an attitude of abundance, knowing that as I give, I do receive. Today, I celebrate my prosperity and my ability to share from my overflow of good. I give from the knowledge that all is well.
God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. God is my source, God is my power, God
bless and release these gifts to do their work of proclaiming the good news that all is well. As we have freely given according to the law of circulation, it returns to us, full measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. So we will always have more to enjoy and to spare, to give and to share. For this we give thanks. We let it be so, and so it is. And we have a special message for our children today, our children that are dwelling inside of us and the children that are on their way to this very center right now. We say, we love you.
We love you.
We love you. And we're here for you.
We're here for you.
And we're so glad you're here.
And we're so glad you're here.
All right. A couple of little things after towards the end of the service here, the power of connection. We believe in the power of spiritual connection here at CSL Davis, or CSL Yolo, and we practice that power through prayer. We believe that we have an unbreakable connection to spirit. We all enjoy this, and we just got done hearing about how that unbreakable connection to spirit is our source of grace. And so we share that grace through prayer. Through prayer. So if you find yourself in the need of prayer today, please come to one of our prayer practitioners. I am one, and Deborah Taylor, who was just sitting there, was one. And also Mitch is also one. So please come to us after service if you're in need of prayer, if you're in need of someone seeing how God is working out his perfection, finding the grace in your life. That can be so valuable. So, please take advantage of us for that. Also, we will have fellowship downstairs after the service. We've got goodies down there. There's quiche, special Mother's Day quiche. There are some little muffins down there. There's coffee and good conversation and fellowship. Good time. So, please come downstairs after the service. Spend a little time with us fellowshipping. And we're going to do all that after our closing song. So, and benediction. So let's circle up and have our closing song. And the words are on the screen. Surrounding you and can never leave you, and is only based on the fact that you exist. And always remember that God loves you, and so it is.
So it is.